Okay, so I'm just beginning my interview. So I think we have connected for previously this one, right? Resume part and
Yeah, late means it's long
many.
back. We yeah,
Uh,
long back for the resume, and I think 1 or 2 months back only we have connected for this mock interview.
Mark,
One, yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's amazing. That's amazing to hear. Now
Mhm.
you're with the one offer already.
Yeah, yeah.
That's nice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm beginning my interview part. Yep.
Sure.
Can you just brief me, Priya, what exactly your current project and your, your background and all?
Okay, so currently I'm working with one of the UAE client and it's a banking project. So my roles and responsibilities in this particular project is a senior Power BI developer. So I'm handling the client requirements, like from taking the requirements from the client for to build the Power BI reports. From taking the requirements, after taking the requirements, we are analyzing that how much possibility, like whatever the client is expecting, it's possible in the Power BI, and if sometime quite it's not achievable directly in the Power BI, so we give some kind of alternatives for that also with the help of some other visuals. So after taking all the confirmation from the client side, then we are beginning with our Power BI report development. So first of all, we are developing the reports in the UAT environment. Then after that, we are doing first level of testing from our side at matching the data mart values with the Power BI values by creating the SQL queries in data marts. And after that, once the query this matching part is completed, then we are handing over the our reports to the testing team. So once functional testing and logical testing is completed from the testing team, then we are moving our reports from UAT environment to the prod, and we are giving access in the use services to the user so that they can seamlessly access the reports. And the live connection we are using in Power BI, and it's with the SQL Server analysis services, and the model which we have used, and in that which is the schema which we have developed, it's a star schema.
And that you've been creating dashboards for your stakeholders and all. So there may be a situation for you and your entire team and you are responsible for creating and maintaining all these interactive dashboards for your stakeholders. Okay, and there may be certain situation clients coming back to you saying that during the peak hours, the report is taking very high time to render all the visuals. So how do you optimize these kind of performance issues?
Okay, so in my latest project only we have faced this issue. So when we moved our UAT report to the prod, so in UAT only less amount of data is there, but in prod we have total 5 years of data. So some of the visuals is getting crashed in when the user is making selections in the slices. So that point of time we have done the analysis on our DAX creation what we have created. So in that we already make use of variables as much as possible instead of creating the multiple same calculation again and again, but that also didn't help much. So after that we came into a solution like what if we can move this particular calculation directly into the view side, and in the view with the help of case statements we can create those calculations, and whenever we are filtering any measure on top of it the dimension values, so instead of directly pulling out from the dimension values, we are pulling those required columns into same fact table itself, so that it is means those number of joins is not getting triggered at the point of calculation when it is getting triggered. So those all things we have created in the views, and after that when we are getting the data from views to the cube, and so we are getting already the calculated column in the cube itself. So that calculated column only we are using it into our Power BI report, and only the date filters we are applying in the report itself.
Okay, got it, got it. Okay, so let's say for example, I'll be asking you another scenario. For example, you're working with some senior leader or a stakeholder, okay, and they are requesting some last minute changes to a report, which is very critical to the board meeting and all. But there is a suddenly some that requested change conflicted, with your data definitions or agreed rules. So how would you handle this last minute changes, situations?
It's like, first of all, I have to analyze it like in what level the changes will be there. If it's a data level changes or only it's with the Power BI report level changes. If it's completely with the data level changes, then we have to connect with our data team as well, and we have to do the changes whatever is required. And after that, if there is no correction required in the Power BI report side, that is well and good, because when we make changes into our data side, so it's already a live connection. So after corrected it into data side, it will automatically being deflected into our Power BI report because it's a live connection. And if it's a Power BI report side changes are there, then I have to analyze it first, like for example, if it's any visual changes are there or any calculation changes are there, so that I have to analyze it first, and we have to create it, means we have to correct it, and then only I can give it, like if it's possible within 2 hours or not, that I have to confirm it first, and then after that only we can move it with the changes.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. And I'll try to put you in another scenario. Let's say, for example, you're in your role, you have developed certain data model in your, SSMS or whatever the tool you are using it, and which improved your query performance by 30% with the kind of data model which you have created. But what happened? That report started showing all the inconsistent data due to some recent data model changes, which was done by you. How would you address this issue, and and how would you ensure such errors are minimized during future model updates?
So for example, if some irrelevant data is also coming, so we have to make sure, like instead of taking all the means columns, like select star from the table, we have to means specifically mention the columns which we have to take it from the table itself, instead of directly taking the select star. And suppose if we have only, if it's required only 5 years of data or 4 years of data, so in where condition we have to also filter it for that particular condition, that the data should come up only for these many years. And also if some static filter is also required, for example, if we have to neglect it some of the business units or some of the that location code, so that also we have to implement it at the in the where condition itself, so that data will get filtered out at the that starting level only, instead of coming it into all the data into cube, then we are filtering it at the report level.
Okay. Uh, but my question was like it was already implemented, and what kind of best practices you suggest to your team or to your management to avoid these kind of errors in the future? Like I am expecting a kind of a pointers, the rules, basic rules for your data model design.
For that, like we have to follow some certain steps, I think. First of all, like I mentioned, like instead of taking all the columns, we have to specify only the relevant column should be taken. And in where clause, first of all, we have to
It is not
filter.
basically it is not about the clauses, okay, not about
Okay,
the
okay.
querying, but it's about the complete data model. The fact tables, transaction tables, and dimension tables which you have modeled together, connected together using relationships, and
Okay,
that
okay.
was streamlined, and it is affecting your existing reports. So I understood. I mentioned that the query performance increased by 30%. That is fine. Querying part is fine. The rules are fine. Whereas into Power BI, the results are changing. The incorrect results coming for you. So how do you have to talk about certain validation rules first. Okay,
Okay.
the data validation rule. So before me directly connecting to that new model replacing, so first I'll be having data. You also mentioned that you'll be having some test level one. Okay, so unit test level one, like that, you just jump. I'll create a copy of that and I'll replace with a new data model which improved 30% of data model querying results. And then I'll try to, compare the results of few KPIs before the actual condition and after the actual condition before in pushing into production. So that's number one, data validation, number of columns and number of rows, whether it's matching in all the tables or not. So touch upon these kind of rules. So this is what data engineers do for a testing, right? Once the tables are done. Okay, you
Okay.
try to add 2 to 3 rules and you're done.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and this is basically data model design related. For example, let's say you have used some. Are you using any Azure related services?
No.
Have you worked on this live data direct query model?
No, direct query model, no.
Okay. So, but in our scenario, we are having certain projects where you have to work on this direct query. So, how do you handle if you are not worked on that?
So direct query is like it's also kind of like we are not saving the data into a Power BI file. It's like we are making the direct connection with our data sources. So the live data will come up based on the refresh rate what we are implemented. So it's like but there are some limitations are also there in the direct query mode, like some time intelligence functions won't support it over there.
Yeah.
So instead of taking all the data from the direct query mode, like we can make use of the composite model as well. Like for example, some of the dimension tables we can import it and we can save it into our Power BI file, and the fact tables we can make use of with the help of the direct query mode. So it will also improve some kind of performance in our Power BI report.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, I think I'm done with this, scenario based. Let me jump into some behavioral questions. In interview, they will not tell like this, but I'm trying to tackle some behavioral questions for you. Can you describe, for example, a situation where you collaborated with your other team members, like a cross-functional team, and you delivered some critical report or you worked on that project, and how did you ensure, your objectives are meeting the different team objectives? Like, what tools or strategies did you use to keep everyone on the same page?
Okay, so right now we are using a Jira tool. So in
Yeah.
that, like Jira, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if we have already done with any kind of report development or the model development as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if any changes are coming from the client side, so based on that, the testing team, if they perform the testing on top of that any report or data model, and if they found any discrepancies are coming in that report or data model, so they are creating the Jira tickets based on their developer's name. So based on that, if any Jira ticket is created on top of it my name, because I am the Power BI developer over here. So whenever I made any changes in the report, so instead of directly publishing it into services, in that Jira ticket we mentioned that the issue is fixed, and also what issues is it's highlighted, that also we are mentioning, and the solution also we are mentioning in the comments when we are closing the Jira tickets.
Okay, so you mean, yeah, can you specifically talk one case where you worked with the other part of the CFT team in that Jira? Let's say they may be
Mhm.
assigning you one particular ticket, you have to migrate or move backend semantic models or backend data model. You have to replace or you have to add new columns. So there may be any situation. So for that, you touch upon, yeah, there may be there was one situation for me where I have to integrate multiple columns and that database and all, which is not familiar to me, and I worked with other data engineering team, and so I have collaborated with them. But the existing data model created in other similar other pattern, but which is not appropriate, I felt, and I discussed with the data engineering team, and I have given one particular approach, and we have worked on that approach, and it went very good. So, and they have pushed that new approach into, all the original changes. So,
Mhm.
which gives me a motivation that okay, this candidate is also collaborating with other CFTs and implementing all the changes, and you're also adding your inputs to other team development.
Okay, so one time I faced like this, when we created any measure. So as I already tell, like on top of that measure, we are filtering with multiple dimension tables as well. So sometimes flag situations are also coming, based on that 2 to 3 columns, we are filtering the values. So how many times, if we are communicating with 2 to 3 dimension tables, so the query is becoming very slow at that point of time. So once we got a clarification from the client side as well, what if we can pull all the columns from 2 to 3 dimension table into one particular fact table itself, and based on that particular filter condition, we created a fact column. The data people have created the fact column in the view level itself, and that particular flag column we have to use it in the Power BI report as well. So first of all, the Jira ticket is created, on top of it the data side people. So once their job is completed, like they have created the new flag column to use it into a report level. So once they have created that, and they have updated in the Jira ticket, then that Jira ticket is passed on to me, like this column is already created, and means it's reflected into new model. So you can make use of that particular new flag column, and you can filter it with the that flag column in the measure itself. So after that, we have to refresh our report, and that flag column we have to replace it into our measure.
Okay.
So this scenario we have faced it.
Yeah. So I always talk with one example and then you are done.
So, okay, okay.
And yeah, let me jump into next aspect. Let's say, for example, can you just share me an experience where there was a disagreement within the team, okay, on how to approach a technical issue or project? So how do you resolve it basically that, and how did you arrive a solution for that conflict?
Okay, so like this kind of scenario, as of now, I have not faced.
Okay, you haven't experienced the
No,
situation.
no. Yeah, haven't experienced this situation.
Okay. Yeah, imagine you if you are in that situation. I'm keeping you in that situation in my project. So how do you deal?
So, like for example, if any changes, for example, if a client has taken given any visual replacement is requirement. For example, if we have implemented a calculation with the help of for example a bar chart, but they wanted something like it has to be with the help of dual axis chart or something like that. So based on that, if I have created it, means if I have already replaced it, but the other team member, if they are not satisfied with that, that they are suggesting like we can use it some other visual as well. So we have to analyze it first, like if their means what I can say, if their idea is quite much impressive as compared to what I have already developed, what I have already replaced it. So we can compare both the scenarios, and what suits best in that case, that we have to implement it, and we have to deliver it to the client.
So right now you are in this banking segment, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, but usually clients will give you the close or tight deadlines for you to complete all the tasks. So, but there are certain tasks which cannot be complete in this tight deadlines. That's a usual scenario. But how do you manage the client's environment and your alignments of closures?
So every day means we are sending out a update email to clients, and in that means the deadlines are already means it's the dates are already mentioned. Like by this particular date, we are going to be complete this scenario. But if some cases like what, because multiple things are going on parallel, but if some scenario is happened, like for example, if we have a deliverable on tomorrow, and there are some tight deadlines are there for next report also within the same week, but because of this particular deliverable, if we are means engaged in some of the what I can say, the errors has come up while this means releasing the report at the time of prod development. So if we are means engaged with this thing, so we always ask to the this client, like we are pushing this particular deadlines to 2 more days after, because we are engaged, the team is engaged in solving this particular error what is come up in the recent report, what has to be delivered it by Tuesday or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I think you could have given in some more, stronger way because this is where all the clients expects. How do you handle that pressure situation with tight deliverables with less time? Okay, no worries. Okay, so you mentioned, there are some increase in this customer satisfaction. Okay, so can you give an example how did you arrive at that outcome?
So that like as I said, like whenever the client, because in our case the client is like in my previous project also, it's a SAP reports what we are migrating it into Power BI. In this project also, it's something like they are creating the reports into Excel, and they want us like exact copy of that if we can build it into Power BI report. So sometimes if it is not possible, that one scenario I have faced in which they want to see the sales by percentage, how much it is achieved till the date selection what we are making in the report based on the last year target. So it's like they have it like in the percentage wise. So for example, out of 100 percentage, how much it is achieved. So they want it like for each percentage one bar should be designated for that, and total 10 bars should be there, and each bar should designate for 10 percentage. And if it is for, if I am selecting a date in report, for example 31st of August 2024, so till that particular date how much it is the sales is achieved. For example, if it is achieved 40 percentage or 50 percentage, so that they wanted that the color should come up for all those 50 percentage should be green, and rest 50 percentage should be red. So that the ready-made visual we didn't have in Power BI, which directly give this kind of visualization. So we tried convincing the client like with the help of shapes that we can implement 10 similar shape in a manner like it will look like a visual, and on top of it we will apply the conditional formatting for each bar. If it is achieved till 10 percentage or 20 percentage, so that particular color should come up. So these kind of alternatives we have given it, and we achieved the client satisfaction.
So you have the backend calculation solution is also ready for you, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you also mentioned certain kind of mentorships and also, for example, in my current project, there are few junior developers are available. Okay, so what steps basically you take to mentor your juniors or any interns, and you have to ensure they should contribute so effective to their assigned projects. So you as a leader, what kind of decisions or what kind of monitoring steps you take?
In my particular project, I am leading the Power BI team. So there are two junior developers are there. So first of all, if they join newly in the team, so first of all, I'll interact with them, and I try to grasp the knowledge, like how much the tool knowledge they have, and as per that, I will assign the work to them. So while assigning the work, also it's not like I will be assigning the all the complex works to them. It's like if already some reports are developed previously by me, and there are some little bit changes are coming from the client side. For example, some data level some data label changes are coming, some visual level changes are coming. So that I am connecting with the with our junior, and I am explaining them that what client are expecting on top of it. And it's not like I explain them that based on this particular scenario you can do like change the visual color or change the data label. So I brief them how to do all these things, and after once they have completed their work also, so instead of that directly given them permission like they can directly publish it into services, they inform me, and it's like they are sending me an email with the attachment of the Power BI desktop file, and I am doing the first level of verification like all the things are completed or not. Then only I am publishing the reports to the services.
Got it. So can you just brief me what was the recent changes in Power BI in the month of November?
Month of November. Okay, I haven't checked it yet. Yeah.
Okay. So you because I touched upon your team management. Okay. Then I thought of asking you. You said app. Then I thought of checking you whether you are up to this trend technological changes in the tool or not. Okay. Try
Okay.
to check on the recent Power BI updates in the month of November released by Microsoft. Okay.
Okay, sure, sure. I'll
And
check it.
if you say yes, and if you are giving 2 to 3 examples, my next question could be, okay, in these 2 to 3, new changes, have you thought of implementing that changes in your any existing or ongoing Power BI projects? So that
Okay.
would be my next question.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
So
Got it.
make sure to touch on that.
Sure.
And so are you familiar with
No.
any cloud technology?
No.
Okay. But in my project, so how familiar are you with Azure and how quickly you can cope up with Azure?
Yeah, as of now means I didn't get chance to work on that, but if my work demands to work on that, so I am a quick learner. So in my last project also there is a requirement for the paginated report. So I learned that tool also in my last project. So as I am a quick learner, I can grasp the technology quite faster.
Okay, so we got that. You're looking for that cloud. That's fine. Because in your project, you mentioned that you're working for UI clients, correct? So
Yes.
basically, they are very sensitive in terms of data masking and all. So how do you ensure this data security and compliance? And when you're working or designing your reports or data models?
So data level part means I am not handling in this project. So means that much data security thing I am not much aware of that.
Okay. Okay. So you can give few examples. Let's say, for example, there are few bank you are working for banking, correct? And the
Yes.
customer name is very much confidential, and in your database it is available. Okay, it is available by your banking client. They will enable for you to
Mhm.
calculate different elements, and based on customer name, customer ID, and customer location, and the zip code, a unique ID surrogate key will be created. Combination of these things. So, but you can able to see the customer name. So this is
Mhm.
something a data security related issue. But in some cases, if you're designer or data modeler or data engineer, if unable to mask and release it to your reporting purpose. And in your reporting, there is an element called customer name column available. So when you published, and it is really, showcased to all the end users. So which is the biggest problem.
Correct,
So
correct.
I haven't inquired this kind of an issue, but this is one of the example. But make sure in my designing itself, I'll try to mask all these columns, and elements before jumping or creating the report part.
Okay, okay, got it.
So actually, I've touched upon this, scenario level questions, and I thought of asking you few sets of scenario questions based on your current resume. And then I jumped into, I got some confidence on your scenario based. Then I jumped into this behavioral level questions, like your team management. Basically, that's the usual question they will ask in terms of behavioral segment. And another thing is a conflict management. Let's say I also asked a few questions related to conflicts. If that person is an AVP, you mentioned, correct?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
usually they will look that perspective. And I also asked you adaptability related questions in the sense I given certain just example we are looking for cloud. How do you adapt that situation? So I touched upon that, and also touched upon this problem solving skills for an AVP perspective. Like you mentioned, the 20% of reduction. So I need to know about the background of that. So you gave me with an example, and then I jumped into certain other general related questions, like few leadership questions, like how do you mentor your junior members, and how do you prioritize your task if you're working at an independent project or a sole contributor. So these are the usual questions they'll be touching you. And if any one of the situations, if you have not worked, try to add generalized examples. You can simply saying in my previous mock interview also I have mentioned, maybe you have implemented that strategy in your interviews. Like if you are unaware of the situation, accept it. I've not been into this situation. However, if I am in this situation, these are all my steps to follow. Okay,
Okay, okay,
step
got it.
one, two, three, and these are all my steps. So in that way, you can able to tackle the situation, and they may think that okay, this candidate is not arrived in all, but however, if I'm putting that in any of the situation, she can able to manage that confidence level you are bringing to the table. Okay,
Okay, okay, got it, got
and
it.
one last question for you. Uh, we are looking for someone who can able to handle multiple projects. Okay, do you
Mhm.
have an experience in handling like 3 to 4 projects at a time in a day?
As of now, I didn't being into such scenario. Like I have been put on into multiple projects. But if it is come up also, means I will try to simplify my means the work for each of the projects, so that if the work is assigned to me, so that has to be completed within the designated amount of time.
Yeah. So usually, yeah. I divide my 8 or 9 hours of my work schedule into four segments. Okay, based upon the client's time zone availability. And if the
Mhm.
clients are my related to US and Indian clients or my internal clients, I'll divide my time. And in that time zones, I'll prepare my task according. That's number one. Number two, there may be situation, there are very less limited work available for my internal clients. So that time I'll directly allocate to my external clients. I'll try to push, more number of productivity over there. So in this way,
Okay.
I'll try to manage this. But yeah, this is a usual practice where I have in my experience of 6 years with this current company. I have handled multiple projects in single day with multiple clients. I can able to manage. There is no
Mhm.
issue for me to manage in that.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And but we can able to give you the the budget part, whatever you have quoted, which is completely out, and I can able to align only the 18. So what is your take on that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You're fine with 18.
Yeah.
Okay, you're straight away accepting it.
Yeah.
So which says you're okay for anything. Okay. So you have to accept, but give some explanation and then accept. Okay.
Sure. Sure.
So you can talk like, yes, I do understand there are certain constraints in the budget, but however, if you could consider my overall experience, and I've been in this company for 6 years, and I well versed worked with the different domains and different clients, and I have that solid expertise, and I'm looking forward to your company where I can able to maintain and the same kind of an exposure for a long term number of years in your company as well, where I can bring all that learnings to the table. And with this motto and my market standard, I'm expecting, the same, this CTC like a 19. And
Okay.
if you consider to match that 19, that would be a great exposure for my current market scenario. And stop
Okay.
it. Do not accept again an 80. Okay.
Sure.
Then
Sure. Sure.
then try to listen to their approach. Yes,
Okay.
Priya, I think whatever you have quoted is correct. I'll try to check with HR if there is a possibility for 19, and I'll try to proceed with that. That may be one situation. Other situation, I do understand, Priya, but we have this is the only budget level. We can only able to give you 18. Okay, then you will be knowing the sense of the HR or an AVP.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
if they are still checking it, then you have an option to demand more. Usually
Okay.
they'll be having it in hand, okay, because you already
Mhm.
close to the final round.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll definitely keep it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay. So these are all the minor hiccups which are very much fine, but try to take this as a pointers as an input, and you can do your best. So at what time you are having tomorrow?
11 a.m.
Great, great. Okay, looking forward to it for an update. And if you are having any other things, just to ping me on the LinkedIn. And
Sure.
I
Sure.
could give you
I.
10 of 10. I could give you 9 for this round and 8.5 to 9 for this round. But try to add more examples. If I
Sure.
look back to our previous interview to this interview, there is some drastic increase in the graph.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.